Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast, where we discuss and analyze your favorite marble sports. From JMR Marble League to All-Go-Do tournaments, we'll make sure you never miss the action. All marble sports, all the time, right here on the MSW Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wolf.
Always the same intonation when you say that.
But you want me to do what I'm
Commander Wolf?
You want me to do what you just did, like the I'm Commander Wolf or whatever?
Oh, that came through. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know. I just kind of change it up, a lot. So it's kind of like interesting, I guess.
I got you.
Anyways, welcome to the podcast. If you are new to the podcast, as in watched one of the All-Go-Do League events and enjoyed them, Battle Ring was a recent one, and you were like, well, what is this podcast stuff? Came over and clicked on this episode, which I don't know, you happen to, then welcome. And if you're wondering why and what, this podcast is a podcast about marble sports. We talk about marbles, we talk about sports, we sometimes go off topic. We talk mainly about JMR and the exciting community of JMR because they kind of make the whole process, the whole situation seem like a sport, following your team, your fantasy league, things like that, all that excitement. So we follow them, we talk about them, we analyze, we indulge the pretend world of marble sports. And we do a lot of discussion stuff. So if you're interested, if you haven't seen JMR and you found my channel but didn't see JMR, that's kind of crazy, actually. So go watch them because they're really good at marble sports. And you can listen to the podcast. You can get involved with us, comment, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I hope you're enjoying the All-Go-Do. I've been putting a ton of work into it. So, enjoy the podcast the same way. I guess this podcast, I cannot claim to have the same quality level as the All-Go-Do situation. But we do our best anyway. Anyways, today we are talking about what constitutes a JMR copy and what is just other marble channels doing slightly similar things because there's only so many things that marbles can do. All that coming up here right after the news.
Hello, Marble Sports fans! I am Johnny Marble, and as always, I'm bringing you that news for MSW now. Listeners of this podcast and this segment. Johnny Marble is the voice of reason and the most influential influencer in the marble sports world. Why, you ask? Because JMR has just released another highlight reel, and this time it is featuring my team, the Rangers! Rangers. And this is in the build-up for the release of Marbula 1. Now, hopefully, we will be seeing other videos for less liked teams. Now, of course, I do have a soft spot for the Oceanics. I do wish them the best, and maybe, hey, JMR, if I can influence you once again, maybe give them some love as well for a video. Another news, though, Marble Fubeca has returned. Recently, he has released both a seeding video and the first event for his new series, Marble Circuits, where the marbles race laps on a track similar to the upcoming Marbula 1. While there were a few issues, such as marbles easily falling off the conveyor belt, they were still fun to watch and easily the best content Fubeca has put out. And now that we have a taste for what this type of racing is like, the anticipation for Marbula 1 is even higher than before. And finally, we have news on the MSWAL. The second event, the Battle Ring, concluded, and its winner was 8-Ball. Ball. What's up with me and the echoes? It was followed by Crescent, who took second, and Plasma, who rounded the rear, taking third. The event was very unique and unlike anything that has come before it in marble sports, with several tense moments throughout it. If the events continue to be as creative as this, it may one day stand amongst the greats of the marble sports world. But that's all for the news. I've been Johnny Marble. You've been great. Let's take it back to Brendan and continue on with the podcast. Thank you for listening.
All right, welcome back from the news, everybody. I feel like I am doing that part weirder and weirder every time because that all right sounded like so not like I'm doing a podcast. Like sounded like all right, like I'm saying all right to something else. I don't know.
All right.
I can't even place it. Like kind of like casually, you know, because I used to say all right, welcome back from the news, but now it's just all right, welcome back from the news. Thank you, Johnny Marble. You're doing a great job, bro. I mean...
Yeah, thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Yeah. Keep it up, my man. So we are here. Welcome. If you got this far and you're new, welcome. If you can make it through the whole episode, then that's one extra watch hour for my channel. When you put it like that. We are going to talk today about JMR copies. We're going to get to the trivia segment at some point. Actually, R.I.P. to Kobe and his daughter from the helicopter crash. Also, the other people who were in the crash as well.
There were 6 others, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, they matter too. That was awful. That guy was a role model to so many people. As far as I know, he wasn't one of the basketball players that was really caught up in all the drama and the stupidity. He was like a pretty good guy. So, I mean, that's just it. It's one of those things that you hear and it's just there's nothing to say. There's nothing. I mean, that's a tough time. So yeah, I send my condolences. But anyways, let's move on to something more positive. JMR was the first channel, I'd say, to really popularize marble sports as opposed to just marble racing. There's a difference, obviously. Marble sports is more organized, points, scoring. You may give out medals, depends on what you want to do. Teams, sometimes even logos if you're crazy. He was the first one to really do that, to really do something and to say for people to actually start using the phrase marble sports instead of just, marble racing. Because obviously people have been doing marble racing for decades, or even way back before everyone was even alive. But marble sports is new, but because they are the first one, and it is a very kind of entrapping category in which there's not. You can get really creative, but you can it's kind of like accountable infinity of some sort. You can get really creative to almost an infinite degree, but you're kind of limited by a lot of stuff, right? Like you can't use basketballs in it, it's not ball sports, it's marble sports. Normally people frown upon other, marbles being used that aren't completely round or different materials or different sizes and things like that. People frown upon people appearing in the videos with the marble sports, saying that that's not professional or genuine. So we're kind of limited, but we should talk about, as the topic has indirectly come up in many ways, we should talk about what does make something a copy of JMR, which would be considered the best and the first marble sports channel, and what is just other people making marble sports. Doing something, and obviously there will be similarities, but they're just doing marble sports. And there's so many possible directions to go with this, but I think the first thing we should do is define what makes JMR unique. What is it about their marble sports specifically that makes them so unique in the way they do that? Waf, maybe you have something you want to start us off on that?
Yeah. So I just want to kind of address some few things that our live chat has mentioned. Like, I think Akanon mentioned if MNH Racing might have been the first one to do what we could define as marble sports. And is it possible? Maybe. I have not, I never kept up with MNH Racing, but even if Yella wasn't the first thing that would be defined as marble sports, it's definitely the best of that category.
Right.
Without
and
question.
And there is the big plus, the huge plus that makes JMR outshine any other channel is a really simple thing, but just nobody seems to get it. And that is, once you have the ability to make good content, obviously if you have a bad camera and you're doing everything else right, I mean, you can't do anything about that. You just got to get a better camera. But once you have the point, like you talk about channels like Fubica and MNH Racing and MSPN, you all have these, they have decent quality editing. They have decent ideas, and they do, but they're missing the thing that pulls it all together, and that's that organization, which is definition of many things here. But like you look at Marble Fubica, right? Marble Fubica very evidently has the components of being able to make a decent marble sports situation, right? I mean, you look at their videos, they have good cameras too. I mean, the guy literally, I don't know how much he spent making his new studio. He posted something about that a long time ago, but he probably spent a lot. I mean, he has like the tracks and stuff. Like he does all that, but he doesn't organize it. And granted, he does have a little bit of a language barrier, but he doesn't make teams, right? He doesn't really make logos for the teams. He doesn't have annual competitions in which the same teams are brought back year after year. JMR does. You talk about MSPN. Their biggest problem is they don't release their videos very often. I mean, it's great to have videos, but one every 6 months for an M Games is very hard to follow. And then you talk about MNH Racing, they're kind of like a mix of both problems. They don't stick to it, right? They don't stick to an idea and indulge it. Like that's what JMR did, and that's what sets them apart. They picked an idea. I don't know how they picked the idea, but they picked an idea. Marble Olympics, right? That was the first thing they really came up with, or Sand Rally even. But they picked it, and they I wouldn't say choked it because that sounds negative, but they got as much, they squeezed as much out of that idea as they can. They indulged it as much as they can. Pushing it as far as it can go, instead of being like, okay, let's try this theme, now back off and try this other random theme and use other random teams. I mean, and that's why they're so popular, because now everybody likes the theme because it's been pushed so much that it's so well thought out and has so much depth. And the teams people can relate to, because year after year we can see these teams compete. We can get behind the O-Rangers, and even just the fact that they have logos and things kind of brings people to it, because they're like, oh, I really love that logo. I want to get behind that team. And then year after year they're like, oh, well, maybe they'll do good this year. Maybe the Limers will finally have one good season, right? And that's what sets them apart. That's a unique aspect of them, definitely.
Yeah. So I want to bring up, kind of bounce off of what S-Man said in the chat with a different point of. So he mentioned how you could see something, and then after a long time you forget that where the thought came from, to the point where you actually thought that you came up with it originally, and so you end up copying something without realizing it. Another example is you could come up with a completely unique idea in your own mind because you never heard of this idea anywhere else, but then you realize that it's exactly the same as someone else. Like, for instance, so I've been playing a story on my head, and several years ago I came with an idea I'd have these 4 orbs that when brought together could grant a wish. This was years before I learned that Dragon Ball is a thing, that it came out 1986, and the main the big plot devices in the show is 7 magic orbs that you bring together to grant a wish. I came up with the Dragon Balls all on my own without ever knowing what Dragon Ball was. So coincidences, and if you've even heard, there have been shows like that were or even movies that were created that literally had similar named characters and not exactly the same, with very similar plots on 2 different sides of the world that were released within days of each other, and they were actually just complete coincidences. the directors were like, yeah, it was just a complete accident that we made almost the exact same movie or show. Like they're rare, to be fair, but like it can be coincidences do happen. And so I guess like with Fubeca, for instance, based on the few images that we've seen, it does seem similar to the concept of what Marbula 1 might end up looking like.
Right.
But at the same time, it's hard to say because like for instance, we haven't seen a completed track and like the whole conveyor belt thing, I suppose, like, but he has been using conveyor belts pretty much through
he's been using it a long time.
Yeah,
and like if you let me jump in there on that one because there's a few things you could point out and listen, I get the especially as someone who for anyone who's like working hard on JMR to like run JMR and like to actually put this stuff together, it can be worrisome when you see another channel who, because Fubeca is different from other channels in the sense that Fubeca somehow does have like 400,000 subscribers, so he's like in some way a little bit more, could cause a little bit more worry to JMR than other channels like MSPN or other random channels.
Right.
I mean, but there's a few things, and see like first of all, conveyor belts, man. I mean, they tried Marbula 1 when they were doing that. They were trying to figure out how to get the marbles to go back to the start of the race. And they thought about that for a while. And the only answer they came up with, the only plausible one they came up with by the end of all the thinking was a conveyor belt. It just so happens that is very likely one of the, I mean, there's other solutions probably if you have tons of money and time and equipment, but like that's like the best solution and one of the only solutions to get marbles from the bottom of something to the top of something.
Right.
I mean, and so, if somebody else, you know what I'm saying? If somebody else uses a conveyor in their video, you can't say, oh, he's copying. No, because like there's no other ways to do it. And so when I talk about a copy, all right, and this brings me to another point. When I talk about a copy, let's say, JMR, you know what they make. Okay, most people see in their videos, so they know what they make. They have like 5 meter sprints for some of their events, and they have like funnel spin, and they have rafting, and they have
pole
some
vault.
Unique ones, like pole vault. I don't remember that one. That was
I think it's just high jump. Actually, it's high jump, but
high
it's basically
jump,
pole vault without a pole.
Pole without the pole, probably, I assume. Yeah. But like if some other channel makes a they call their thing a Marble Sports Cup or whatever, just something random, and they make an event called 5 meter sprint, and they do it as a 5 meter sprint is done. You race for 5 meters and then you are done. You can't call that copying because a 5 meter sprint is a 5 meter sprint. All right, you didn't invent 5 meter sprinting. So you can't copy 5 meter sprinting, and like there's marbles roll. They race. It's like the only thing they do. When you push them past that to things like funnel spinning and rafting, that's like super creative and extra, and that's like great. But their normal thing that they do is roll. So if somebody comes up with 5 meter sprint and you're like, hey, well, I do that, then that's not copying because there's only so much marbles can do. But if you make a 5 meter sprint event, and you copy and you like mirror in like the exact way, the way JMR edits their videos. By the way, if you can do that, good for you, because they edit their videos very, very well. I don't mean do that, but I just mean like if you mirror their editing exact way, if you have the same theme colors, the same scoreboard look, the same points scoring style, then that's copying, because you're copying aspects that don't need to be the same. All right? If you do a 5 meter sprint, it has to be 5 meters. But if you do a 5 meter sprint, you don't have to use a blue rounded scoreboard. You don't have to score it in the same way. You don't have to do those things. And you don't have to call your competition Marble League, or especially the easy giveaways in the old days where when you called your thing something Olympics. I mean, come on, guys. Obviously a ripoff. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, league, it gets a little cloudy because, like, league's a league. I call my thing the Algodo League, but I'm in no way ripping off JMR because a league is a word.
Right.
But it's just you have to differentiate between somebody just making a Marble Sports video and there not being infinite possibilities as far as how to make something happen, and somebody like actually going out of their way to be over inspired by JMR and take actual stuff from their channel.
Yeah, and like,
oh, I hit
so,
my mic. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So, and to kind of go off what you said like about the events thing, yeah, like those events that are based off of real life sports, like those are like just real things that happen in the real world. So people can like make events about that all they want, and like there are some more unique events. Like Collision, for instance, is something that, as far as I'm aware, no one had done before, and like so you could probably say that's a JMR original event. But then again, there are other channels who have done, like, for instance, more recently, MFA's Corsetti Rally Part 4 video. It's basically just it's a collision event. The only thing that was different was instead of dominoes, it had Legos on the side and there were no ball bearings to come in. But I don't think that he definitely was inspired by JMR from that, obviously. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because while it's not called the Marble League now, we all know it's still the Marble Olympics. And a large part of like what the Olympics is it's a culmination of like the best of the best in a specific sport, and the role play of it all is that Marble Olympics is the ultimate marble tournament, and in real life, to train for the Olympics, you compete in those sports at lower level tournaments. So I like the idea that like some of the JMR events are in these lower level tournaments, like the Corsetti Rally or something like that, basically showing like these marbles are training in these events to get ready for the Marble Olympics. Now, as we know, more than likely, the teams that are in these other people's channels will most likely never actually get like mailed to JMR to compete. It would be cool if they did. That would be really cool. But like, it's all just part of the role play, you know? Like, just like, and basically, hey, we're training for Collision at this lower level league, so maybe one day we can compete at JMR in Marble Olympic or Marble League Collision. Where it draws the line for copying for me is the aesthetic. So, like for instance, M&H Racing, like I don't say it's copying that their stands are using the same blocks as far as I can tell that JMR uses for their stands, but it's not designed the same. And like you can't like say, oh, you're using Hubalino blocks to make your stands. That's copying, because like it's Hubalino. Like no one, like Hubalino owns the rights to those. So you can so color scheme is what matters. What matters is like if you made the stands look exactly the same as theirs, which that would be pretty difficult because that's a lot of pieces. But if you did, like, that's just blatantly ripping off their aesthetic. Like, you're making the stands exactly the same.
Right. I mean, at least you use a different color, right?
Right. Yeah. Like they make the JMR stands are made similar to regular stadium stands. Like you can have like there are certain aesthetics. Like for instance, you can make a press box look the same because most press boxes all look the same, and like you can have ad banners on the side because like again, that's what general stadiums have. If you want to have ad banners on your stadium stands, go for it.
Oh,
but
yeah, that's yeah.
It's all about like I guess like the numbering system, so that it's hard to say like it's like you really have to go out of your way to make it exactly the same. And
because here's the thing,
it's more trouble than it's worth.
When this is how I see it, because you can tell when someone copies something and means to copy something, because if you took two people and you said to them, hey, build stadium stands right now. Just do it right now. Don't think about it. Just build them. Just based on what you know.
No reference images.
Yeah, they're going to look exact. They're going to say exact same.
Or
they're going to look
very
so
similar.
Different, actually. They're going to look
Really?
so different. They are not going to look the same. If you just ask two people to build something, if I say to someone, build a stadium stand, and you build stadium stand, it's going to look so different. Because they, in their own creative idea, will have a different interpretation. Somebody when they build the stadium stands might focus more on how the little seats look. So they build some, generic looking stands, but then really make the seats look very cool. Some person may not really care what the seats look like. They might just want to leave it little blocks, but they want the stand itself to be some ornate structure. So they'll go after that. Some people would build it super high because they think that's aesthetically pleasing. Some people would build it more, loaf or whatever. You know what I'm saying? People would do it so different. So you know that it's a copy when it looks exactly the same because nobody thinks exactly the same. I know you said like with the plots in the similar movies and like, there's some truth to that. But then again, you have to remember a movie is like a countable infinity as well, where you run out of ideas for movies eventually. So, and that's a sample size of like 7 billion people, that's the global size. So, I mean, that's a little different, but like, it's also rare too. I mean, so like, it's going to look different if you do it on your own. So, I mean, when you talk about copies, you can tell when there's copies because if they look exactly the same, it means it's not original because there's no way that you accidentally would come up with exactly the same look. I mean, like M&H Racing, I see that. But like when you talk about Fubica, he does, I don't know if he went out of his way or just the way he likes colors. He like blue and white is JMR's colors in essence, and he uses like green and orange, and they are like that's like the exact opposite.
Because that's Brazil's color on the flag. I think it's like
that makes sense.
Wait, I'm thinking of Mexico's flag. I don't want to offend anybody. I just hit my mic stand. My boxes.
If you offended somebody, well, they just need to calm down. There's so many people that are offended these days.
Let me look up the Brazil flag real quick. Or right. He's in Brazil.
Yeah, he is in Brazil. And like, like using those different colors, and like you look at the stands and stuff, like they look different. He put them together.
Green and yellow. Green and yellow.
And like these other channels do that. And like you can tell. And obviously, there's some limitations as well because, there's only so many ways to make stands in the marble sports world. That's a difficulty you face because you can't just do anything you want because there's kind of like you have to fit the marbles on them. They have to stay on them. So you can't, and not everybody just is very good at building with like wood and can make them out of scratch. So I think there has to be some line where you're like, okay, yeah, if you build stands like that, it's not the end of the world. But if you copy my editing style and my scoring style, then I'm going to have a problem with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And like by style, do you mean like the scoring system or like the scoreboards, like animation
both.
and because like the scoring system, like it's generally a tried and true method. I think that like everybody uses. Like
it depends on the person. I go with a different one. I guess like there might be like a formal method of scoring racing that I'm just not really that aware of. But yeah, I guess there might be.
There usually there's two styles I've seen. One where the points are changed by one for each placement, and one where like the top three have higher points, and then like the rest have it's 1 point intervals, and the last one is 0. That's something that's been done a lot by a lot of people. Like I've
been trying a new one. Yeah. Actually for the Algodo, I've been trying like the bottom 4 are separated by 1 point, then the next ones are separated by 2, then the next 3 are separated by 3, then the first place is separated by 5. It kind of elicits the same kind of situation. If you win, you get points, and if you lose, you don't. But it's kind of like more of a risk reward situation where like, if you get last, you get 0. If you get first, you get 25. I mean, like,
right.
I mean, it's bigger gap, I guess, but it's kind of like, hey, like it makes the difference between 9th and 8th more meaningful, as opposed to like the way some people score, like a JMR scores for the Marble Olympics League. It's kind of like it's significant for the top 3, but insignificant the difference between place 9 and 8. But the way I score it, it's like, I'm not saying it's wrong, by the way, to score it that way. That's fine. It's probably for the sake of simplicity and the formality of the event, it's probably better to score it that way. But the way I do is kind of like the difference between 8th and 9th is still important because that's a full 2 points, and like the difference between like 6th and 5th is important because that might be 3 points. So it's like actually significant enough that it's worth trying at all aspects, at all parts of the competition, not just to get the top 3 and then be like, oh, whatever, 5th, 6th, same thing. So like, I don't know. I added that risk reward thing into it. But
right.
what?
Sorry, that's my point. Like, with the whole stand thing, like, chances are no one's ever going to copy the stands because like most people don't have the number of marbles that he has, so there's no need to have a stand that big anyways. Like it's like like most people won't copy this stuff like that because like they only do it out of necessity. Like Fubeca only puts as many stands as he needs. He might have more marbles than that, but like maybe he just chooses. Like I don't know. That's just something I wanted to point out. Like the chance of someone copying the stands is ridiculous, anyways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But what does constitute a copy in general for Marvel Sports? I would say if you copy editing style, you just need to stop. All right. If you can't, if you can come up with JMR's scoreboard colors, then you can come up with a different one. You can, literally just don't round the edges or something. Come on, guys. It's not that hard. So,
yeah, I suppose, and someone mentioned this, like if you copy a team, like obviously you can have the same type of marble.
Yeah.
But team names you got to be careful with.
Yeah,
and marble names too.
Listen, if I see another video and they have a team of all orange marbles and a team of all yellow marbles, I am 100% fine with it. All right, that is not a copy. Don't ever tell me that's a copy. It's not. There are only so many colors in the world, okay? And you know what?
Right.
The solid color marbles do stick out more, and they're more fun to race with because it's kind of like you have difference. If you kind of get stuck with picking all cat's eye marbles or all the marbles that kind of have that generic stripe through them, then you can't even tell who's different and from who. So solid color marbles, I'm fine. You can have all those sets. But if you call it O-Rangers, then I'm not watching because that is a copy. Because you can come up with another name for 4 orange marbles. But no, you can't avoid having 4 orange marbles. Okay, there are only a certain amount of colors, and there's a limited amount of colors that you can buy in marbles. There's, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a copy if you get similar colored marbles. It is a copy if you use a similar name. It especially is a copy if you use the same logo. But kind of going back to the same thing. Take the Formula Marble. Take the Formula Marble. Take the Formula Marble. The Formula Marble 1, which has not come out yet, but it's I've seen pictures. That has a wider track. All right, they have different aspects to it too, like pit stops and like they have a part where like the track is clear underneath, but I think it's really cool. If they put a camera underneath that too, that's gonna be freaking cool. So I don't know if they had that idea, but if they heard it here, I guess take it. I don't care. Underneath the clear part, because then you can kind of see the marbles pass over.
That's a really cool idea.
Maybe do like a slow-mo. This is why I should be in the whatever. No, the ideas just come like crazy. I literally thought about it for 3 seconds, and that's it. Though that again, that idea probably was thought of multiple times by other people in the community. But anyways, like you thicker, wider track. By the way, wider track makes a lot of sense. Like it's hard. Like watching Fubeca's Marble Circuit, it gets a little bit tight with a thinner track. So it's kind of like the quality of the circuit is decreased by a thinner track. So in all honesty, if he or anybody on the other channel uses a wider track, I'm not going to call it copy because you're literally you're improving. And like listen, there were points made about copies, especially with the Fubeca situation with the Marbula circuit and his marble circuit. I'd have to go look at them again. There was some technical stuff, or like the way they were scoring, or the distance between the starting line. I don't know. It was technical. But another problem that's faced in Marble Sports community that I think is overlooked, but it's a big problem when you actually try to make Marble Sports, is that you have, like, when you buy tracks, there's only a certain amount of vendors that you can buy tracks from, right? There's like Hubelino, and there's a few other things like Gravitrax. And like, there's not that much more. So like the kind of tracks that are used in JMR, if other people want to make marble, if other people are looking to not rip off JMR but make a similar style marble race, you got to use something somewhat similar because there's just not that many other things to use, right? And so, like, in watching Fubeca's Marble Circuit, the thinness, the track he was using was different, but it was like thin. It was like narrow. Sorry, thin is not the word. Narrow. It was hard for marbles to like pass each other smoothly. It still was good, but it was not like, it didn't feel like a like a race like that, like a circuit race, where like with like, you know, kind of I think of Mario Kart, how like the tracks are often wide in the circuit races because like, you know, they want the cards to be able to pass each other because the race is not like, you know, it's not like you know, Rainbow Road or something where it can be narrow because everybody just falls off and stuff. It's just a circuit. It's a simple circuit. People need to be able to pass to make it exciting. So like that's what I'm saying with this. Like if you use a wider track, if you wanted to use a wider track, there's only so many people that, and there might only be one who sells tracks good for that. I mean, that sell tracks. So like, you know, so to say it's a copy because you use the same track is hard for me to hear. But to say it's a copy because you copy exactly the scoring and the style and the teams and things like that, that I can understand.
Right, and I do want to say, like, if anyone from the JMRC is listening, like, I get, like being upset that, like, you weren't the first ones to do it. Like, that always sucks, because, like, now people who don't know about all your advertising and stuff that on Reddit will think that Fubeca did this first. But ultimately, a positive way to spin it is, like, you now have a chance to basically use him at his race as a sort of a prototype, basically seeing what works and what doesn't. For instance, the conveyor belt, like one of the marbles fell down on the there was 2 instances where a marble fell down on a conveyor belt during his video, and like while you could try and think of it as the marble messing up, ultimately we all know that was equipment failure, and that's not very fair to the marble. Like in the video, it cost one marble all like the entire race and put them all the way down to the last. For the lucky for them, it was the qualifications, or I guess the what's it called?
Qualificaciones.
Like it's the placement race, where like they decide what placement they're gonna be in the race, and like also, you and then also like Brendan mentioned, like the tracks are very small, so like it's gonna discourage a lot of passing by marbles, and like that's why like. For instance, like old SMR racing, like they used to have really thin tracks and they didn't pass as much, but then they made them bigger and it got so much better. So basically, that's what they can do here, like saying like, hey, these thin tracks don't work, so let's use the thicker tracks or more unique stuff. Maybe mix them together. Excuse me. Now,
I'm all about mixing them together. By the way, actually, if I were to make a Marbula One, a Formula Marble, you know, or a what would I call it? Super Marblio circuit. Sorry, no, that was stupid.
I mean, there's a Formula 3000, so if you want, you can say Marbula 3000. Yeah,
Marbula 3000. Dude, could you imagine if I released a video called Marbula 3000? Could you imagine? I might as well just, like, change my name. No, that's a joke. But if I did that, if I actually did it, I would actually have the track sizes change. Because I think a good circuit race has both obstacle from racing people and obstacle from the course. I believe that. That's why Mario Kart's so fun. It really is. And so that's what I would do. But like, oh man, I completely forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, I would do that. I guess that's what that was the extent of my thing. I would make them different sizes. You know, like part of it would be the narrow part, you know, kind of like a place to gain speed. Part of it would be wide and maybe slow, like a place to kind of, you know, pass each other, things like that, and really add that excitement to it. Like there's so many ideas, possible ideas. And you might think, oh, well, how are you going to get the big track to converge to the little track? And well, you know, just be an engineer about it, right? You know, think about what you got. You know, it's not that difficult to make things connect each other. I mean, marbles aren't like 3,000 pounds. You know, you can work it out, definitely. So, I mean, I'm all about that, experimenting with that. And like, especially when JMR does Marbula 1 and maybe makes different circuits for the different races, there's probably going to be more than one style. Then like to say, oh, we have Marbula 1, we have circuit racing. If anyone else does like circuit racing, then they're copying is to me is insensible, because circuit racing is like one of the first things that comes to mind when you think marble sports, probably for most people, because they think about marbles rolling and racing. That's like how they think about it. Every once in a while, I'll say marble sports, and someone will be like, "Oh, you mean the Indian guys that shoot the marbles into the circle?" But that's just because they don't know things. But like, I wouldn't say that's a copy. I mean, it'd be easier if there were more vendors that sell different types of tracks, and if it was easy to make your own. It's not easy to make your own tracks, but you kind of limited. You are kind of limited.
Yeah.
And and like, JMR is not using thin tracks for a reason. It's not because, it's because it's because they're not practicable for the circuit racing, and it's a fine line. It's also a blurred line, but you have to always question intentions. Is this person's video that came out? Is their intention with this video to make marble sports because they want to make marble sports and they wanted to make a marble circuit, so they put one together, and that's what their intention was? Or was their intention, oh, JMR did this, let me copy them so I can pawn farm views off them because I have a similar looking thing? When you had to question those intentions, most of the time it's not the case, okay? Because most of the time it's either the person actually just trying to create more marble sports and doing it in a different way, or trying to, or the channel's just too small for it to matter. So, I mean, you have to always ask that, I believe. And I'm all against copying too. I mean, if anybody were to be against copying, it should be clear that it's me. I mean, like, I was all, like, not upset, but, like, just all about when I was doing my Algodo thing, going unique and above and beyond, taking it away from everybody else's generic black track, blue background situation. By the way, for the 100th time, you can just right click and click the change background color button, and it will do it in 3 clicks. All right, 3 is all it takes. All right, you literally maybe try like a yellow or like a darker blue, a lighter blue. I mean, it's not hard, guys. I was all about that. All right, and I've been working hard on my videos, to make them look good, for one, and to kind of push it past that looking like everybody else, and push it away from just creating another race where I send a million different colored marbles down to try to farm views. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about being unique, being different with my videos, so I don't look like I'm just trying to copy somebody, because that's just crap. And so, like, I it gets difficult, definitely, because, well, especially with real marble sports, because it's not Algodo, so you can't, in real life, you can't just click on something to change its color so it's different, right? But, you can tell with the intentions of what it looks like and how they score it and things like that, if they're just trying to make more marble sports or if they're actually copying. To me, I would say that Fubica's not trying to copy, though who knows his intentions. Maybe he's just trying to copy and is very bad at it. Okay? I mean, like, there's always that. But yeah. Yeah.
And I want to piggyback off of you mentioning Algodo. So, if for people who don't know, on Algodo, there's something called the Alga Box. And basically, it's like a archive where people can upload their maps and stuff to it. So basically, and a lot of people would upload their marble kits. And I think one of the most popular ones who really popularized Algodo racing, Carrick, did his as well. And you'll notice a lot of times, like, it's not only is it just the generic black box, but it's like the same spinners, the same flippers, the same stuff. And the reason why is because most people are literally just taking from the Alga Box. They're going to the Alga Box, they're clicking download, and then just copy pasting those parts around. A lot of that. And there were a few exceptions. Like, for instance, Eric Facette's, like, I think the after the first quarter of season 5, there was some very well unique designs. And then more recently, again, with the MSW AL, with like the coloring and like the background art and stuff like that, so you can be unique, with your algorithms, it's just a lot harder. And so,
I'll tell you what, it's a lot harder, guys. I mean, it takes time to do that.
I don't know if I would I'm not sure if I would say like they're copying other people by using like those AlgoBox resources, because the people who made them, like especially the Marble creators, like they did upload them publicly with the intention of other people using them. So they're at least they're okay with people using them. But it does they do most of them, as far as I can tell, always at least arrange them in unique and different ways. But it didn't change the fact that all the building blocks were all very similar, and so it's hard to say. Like, I wouldn't say that they're copying, like, because it ultimately is different. But I would say that they're lazy, like, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, that's the thing, and that's another thing you have to understand. You don't have to do anything actually, but another thing I guess I'd like to try to help to have people understand is that creativity is difficult. All right, new ideas are difficult. They don't come to everybody, and the few people they do come to, those people don't always have the resources to actually put them into play. Live chat is agreeing with me, apparently. So, but they are. It is. If I was told, hey, sit down here, and come up with something new for Marble Sports, because you know what, you can't do 5-meter sprint because that's copying every other channel. And, sprinting is owned by all the channels, evidently, so you can't do that. So, and I have to come up with something new, then it's hard, because coming up with something new means, like, you have to make something new in your head. The way we think is that we think and we reason because of what we've already seen, of what we already learned, okay? No, you didn't copy. You can't copy sprinting. I mean, like, that doesn't even make sense. Live chat, at the live chat who's saying things. But like, it is hard to come up with new ideas, and you can over time, but like it's hard. And so, I mean, and with the limitations of Marble Sports, because it's one of the most limited, it's one of the craziest things where it's the most limited but most open at the same time. I said open like I was English. It's kind of like you're trapped into this narrow strip of what you can do, but there's so much you can do still somehow. So it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like sorry, I really want to jump in, like
Don't say sorry. You're the co-host. You do what you want.
All right. So it's kind of like how, for instance, there was surfing in the 2019 Marble League. Or no, it was still Marble Olympics at the time, so we'll refer to it as Marble Olympics.
If I've ever seen something that needs a little bit of work.
Yeah. But like,
good idea, though. Good idea.
Like, that goes to your point. Like, it's so open, but also so limited, because, like, basically, yeah, if you want to, you could do all the same sports and even more with marbles. Like, basically just think of a human sport and convert it to marbles. But the problem is that, like, as with surfing, it's very hard to do and make it work right. So even if you can come up with a brand unique idea, it's the implementation that still can stop a lot of people. It's so like, first difficulty, coming up with a unique idea. Second difficulty, implementing it well, if you even can't have the resources to implement it in the first place. Yeah,
and actually, like, I mean, I like to say I'm someone who could probably make anything unique if I tried hard enough. I mean, that's what I feel like I can do. Like, if you said to me, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna do Marble Sports, and I want us to do basketball with these Marble Sports, and I want it to feel like basketball. I mean, over
in real life,
I could probably actually. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, let's just say someone else would do that. I could probably actually figure that out. I mean, I'm already having a few ideas on how you could do that, and like already. But like, it's hard because initially it's weird, because you think about, what could you possibly do with these marbles? How could you make them ever do this? I mean, even surfing must have been something else. I mean, you sit down and surfing's cool. How would I ever do that? And you think about all the ways it just makes your head spin. And then the thing is, you might come up with a good idea, but as I find with coming up with ideas, when you actually start to work on it, you realize all the other things you didn't think about. Then you're like, how am I going to solve these? And then you get discouraged, and you're like, this is impossible. And you're like, I made less progress. I've made negative progress. Why am I even doing this? And so it gets very difficult to make a new idea. And so, like, to say, I mean, to say like it's copying this to you know, to have a 5-meter sprint, to have a circuit race, to have something like that is not. I mean, it's when you copy the video, not copy the sport. In my opinion, there's a few unique events that can be exempt. Like, of course, well, collision. If you copy collision rule for rule, it's a copy. If you have a collision style event but you alter it a bit, it's just, you know, making marbles do something that they already do, which is roll and then hit each other. That's pretty much what that is, by the way. Collision is just they roll and then they hit each other, and then we watch at it and then get mesmerized by it.
Yeah.
And the ball bearing is released, and the O'Rangers are going to lose a competitor to the left corner.
It's basically the hockey event, only this time there's no puck and no goals.
The hockey was good, but collision is better.
Another thing I want to point out, like, so it's called the marble circuit. For all we like, there are other types of races called circuits. Like, it's not necessarily Formula One. It could also be like, you know, like a go-karts or NASCAR. Like, it could like a circuit is not just for Formula One racers. They're also for like other types of racing too. So maybe, like, I don't know what type of racing isn't popular in Brazil. I think F1 is still very popular, but I think NASCAR, I would think NASCAR dirt racing might be more popular.
Yeah, but you know, and like those things, even in real life, I mean, like no one's gonna say, "Oh, NASCAR's copying F1; they should die."
Or
no,
F1's copying
even
NASCAR.
though they do a similar event. No, it's about how you present it, not what you do. That's what I believe about copies. Unless the event you're copying it can be considered as exceptionally unique. So, like, and I don't think I've seen one of those yet. I wouldn't say that there's something JMR's done that's exceptionally unique that, like, just the thought of even doing an event like it would be a copy. Rafting gets close, but then again, if you had the idea of, oh, I want these marbles to do something in water, the first two ideas that would come to mind would be underwater racing and rafting. Those were the first two. Surfing would be closer to like a, you know, even thinking of doing the event would be a copy, as opposed to rafting being more like, well, if you asked someone to do something with marbles in the water, that'd be like the second thing that came to their mind.
Yeah, when I think of water sports, the first thing, like, in human life, like, I think of swimming and then rafting. I guess I would go fishing, but then again, a fishing sport. Wait,
if they pull off fishing, I'm done. I'm done. If they pull off fishing, I'm done.
Oh,
if
my
they pull
gosh.
that off, I'm done.
Brendan?
And I have no idea. No idea.
I think I might want, like, it would be easier to do in Algodo because you could program fish, but in real life, I don't know how you would do it. Maybe you'd have, like, paper fish floating. I don't know how you do it, but I kind of want it.
Well, actually, I would love to
it.
see. My dream for marble sports, well, I have a lot of ideas. 2 ideas that people would call blasphemy, like having people be a part of the competition. Oh my God, right? Did I put this in an episode, or did I talk about this afterwards only? Like, I did have that idea. It was, it's probably not well received by a lot of people. Yes, I did, live chat, cool. It's probably not popular to a lot of people, but I think it would be different. It certainly would not copy. But, like, you know, I've always thought it'd be cool to have events with the marbles that kind of simulate a casino, because marbles and like casino games always kind of like go together to me in some way. Like, I don't know why. Like roulette wheel. I mean, I would buy a roulette wheel just to have a marble sport event where they go in roulette wheel. You know, and like, you know, and kind of like I'm doing with the Algodo, kind of like I have them play like blackjack and have them like, you know, hit into things that like flip cards over. You could figure that out in real life too. And that would be so cool to have them do stuff. Like, I mean, here's the thing. You have to be willing to get creative, and it does bring it more towards luck. I mean, it is all kind of luck, but it brings it more towards obvious luck-based instead of skill-based. If you have, like, events where the marbles kind of roll over and tap a card or something, because then it is, like, real luck. But like, it kind of, like, you got to get creative like that, and it's hard to do that. It is, and, like, so I don't blame people when they're like, hey, listen, the best I can even do is even make this 5-meter sprint. I mean, like, let alone come up with something new. It's hard. But I just say, you know, copies, copying logos, copying team names, copying style. Style is the big one for me. Don't copy style. Don't ever do that. Or I'll very much dislike your channel, because style is something that you can own. I can own style. I can own the way I make my videos, but I can't really own the style. I can't really own the style of I can't really own the way my events are made. Like, I can own how I edit them, but like, if somebody else can make a battle ring in Algodo, someone else can. And I can't say they copied me, because a battle ring makes sense. All right? I mean, like, it was one of the first things that came to my mind when I was thinking Algodo and trying to go a little bit beyond just racing. Like a battle ring does make sense. But like, like, to copy my style, like have the battle ring ensue in the same way as I did, and have the scoreboard look the same way as I did. I mean, that is a little bit different.
Yeah, and like, so I did mention like earlier in the episode, like how I was okay. Like, I actually kind of like the idea of like people having like JMR events in their lower leagues to kind of simulate the idea that they're training for. Like for instance, how there's like collision copies, but here's one stipulation. If you made your collision field look exactly the same with the ball bearings and everything, that I feel would be going a bit too far. Like, having like just the basic collision event, that's fine. But I think if you went like above and beyond to just completely copy the entire design, that's going too far, I'd say.
Yeah, because there's so many ways you could alter collision slightly that I would not consider it a copy. Like maybe and then people don't think about this stuff because it seems too easy. You don't even realize it. The arena does not have to be square. It does not. There is nothing saying that it has to be a square or rectangle. That's what JMR did. So when you make it a square and put the little dominoes around it,
you're limiting yourself.
Then you're like, hey, the only idea I can come up with is an idea somebody else already had. It doesn't have to be square. It does not. All right, it can be octagon. It can be circle. I actually think a circle would be cool. JMR, you should think about that. Okay, I think a circle would be cool.
Because marbles,
hey, marbles are they're as round as you can get.
Marbles are round.
They are, and like octagon kind of gives that battle feel. That's why I use an octagon for the Algodo, because I was like, I always think when I think battle, I think squares, I think octagons, and sometimes circles. You can make it. You couldn't. I'm just starting to think crazy right now, but I just thought the 2-level collision came into my mind, where the arena has 2 levels for some reason. Don't even ask how that would work.
Hey, Brendan, remember how in the previous episode you mentioned like humans getting involved? I just came up with an idea for an event. Chinese checkers.
I'm gonna have to write that down.
Chinese checkers, but where the marbles replace the pieces.
Oh my god! Can you explain that more than just saying?
So
it?
you know the
I wish you want to hear it.
You know the Chinese checkerboard, like where like it's the
it
colored
kind of has the little
spheres.
divots.
So so basically, you just replace the spheres with the marbles. Bam! It's now become marble Chinese checkers.
And what skill does the marble have in that situation?
You said like the human having skill. You know?
True.
Like, so
true, and that's the difficulty with that.
Again, I don't really like the idea of humans getting involved, but if someone wants to do a human marble sport hybrid, that's maybe one funny idea you could do.
See,
it might not be fun to watch though.
I would do a hybrid. It would not be fun to watch 2 people play checkers, but I would do a hybrid, but always have the attention go more towards the marbles. But it's kind of like, you could come up with events. I've been thinking about it. I mean, when would you even see that? A lot of stuff would have to fall into place for that. I'd have to find people who live with me that have the ability to do something like that and are interested in doing something like that.
Brendan, I just had a great idea.
Tell me.
Marble skydiving. Have you seen those videos where people put like those helium balloons on stuff and like on these GoPro cameras or like on toys and stuff, and then they let them go, then they pop and they fall back on the earth? Do that with marbles. And then you can see the marble coming back down to earth, and you could time it. So from the moment the balloon pops to you get a shot of them in the atmosphere. Dude, imagine if Okay, I gotta recommend that for M games because we have the telescopics are a satellite team.
Would be perfect for that.
Yeah, our team are the telescopics. They're like space telescopes, man. It works perfectly. Holy crap! I'm gonna tell Hershey this right after this. My word, it's expensive as hell, but damn, is it a fun idea.
Oh, it is expensive as hell. You know where my thoughts always go, by the way, when ideas come like this? My thoughts are always, okay, how can I take this idea and make it so it looks like the marbles are actually doing all the work? So, for example, like in the battle ring that I made, when I first built it, it was all, I didn't have the attraction thing on, and it was just kind of like all the bumpers. I overfilled the battle ring with bumpers to make it look like the marbles were battling, even though they weren't doing any of the work. They were just being there and getting hit. So I didn't like that. So I wanted to make it look like the marbles doing works. Now, if you were doing this event, what popped in my head was you'd have the marbles roll down like a ramp or something, and you'd have them, and this should be hard to rig up, but you could do it. You have them roll into something that when the marble hits it, it kind of takes a weight. Like there's a big weight on a helium balloon, and you have to hit it, and the marble hits something, and it drops that weight away, so the helium balloon is ready to fly. And just after it hits it, it kind of goes into this little harness, right, that the balloon can still lift.
Oh,
lifts the marble up. There's the ceiling it goes up to. You have some sort of ceiling where there's like actual spikes on it. You can do that, definitely. And so the balloon will pop itself. You don't have to do anything except watch and be happy. And then the marble will fall, and then whatever it is you want to measure, go ahead and measure it. But I always think, the first thing I think of with an idea is how can I make it so that the marbles seem like they're doing all the work? And that's, by the way, that kind of mindset is great for like inventing new events. It can get very complicated, but if you want to invent a new event, always think like that, because then that's what makes it genuine. But yeah, that would be a really cool idea. That would be, come up with your ideas for, yeah, sure. I mean, there's a lot of random experimental things I'd like to try. I have the ideas. I don't, by the way, they're not like, you can't on command the ideas. I can't on command the ideas either. I'm not a machine, but like if I'm thinking about something, and I'm in a good mindset, I'll have a few ideas sometimes.
Yeah. Sorry to our live chat from my dog barking. Anyways, I kind of missed a little bit at the end there, but I want to mention, like, you could do the skydiving thing, like dropping off a tall building or launching it off a ramp. Like, you could do that. It's cheaper, but I think not only is the space thing more extreme, is more like awesome, but like I kind of I think my idea for that extreme just goes for M games, just because again, M games is meant to be the extreme games and also space marbles. My
extreme sports. 3 times the weight.
Whoever does it, I don't care.
4 times the weight.
If both JMR and M games want to do it, feel free. I would love more space skydiving. Go ahead and do it.
By the way, if they make it far in this episode, unfortunate, but I have to say this. I believe, I don't know how this will go over, but I believe JMR, I do believe they're great, but I believe they're trapped in their own greatness.
Yeah, you said this before.
Yeah, I don't think I've said it on the show.
Yeah, you said it at the end of episode. I think it was one where MFA was guessing. Like, it was about how they're so like good at their formula. The problem is they've gotten maybe more trapped in their formula, and so that they don't break out of it. I think that's what you said.
Yeah, because like they're so good at what they do, and they have so many people being like, "Hey, we want to see that again. We want to see that again. Don't change a thing. Don't change
episode
a thing,
31.
Man.
Thank you,
Keep
MFA.
it up, bro." You know, that kind of stuff. I mean that like if they were to like try something weird, you know, I don't know why I say weird like that. You know, like balloons with, you know, so whatever idea we just happen to have,
Fishing,
or like putting humans in it, you know, where humans have some effect on the situation. If they would tried something like that, it would be an uproar like you wouldn't believe from the fans that are interested in this, and then it would be an unexpected outrage. And so like,
well, why would there be an outrage? Like I mean, like people weren't
because
like
people be like.
People didn't like surfing, but they didn't like it because they didn't like the idea of surfing. They didn't like it.
No, but like
sorry,
if they couldn't even,
they didn't like surfing because
they
it was
couldn't even.
bad.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. But if they can't even like be, you know, if they were like going away about that, imagine if like JMR's next event had like human players in it or something.
Yeah, but then the human thing again, like I think it's something that like we only mention that because like for people who don't like marbles racing because there's no human involvement at all. But for us, we don't care about that because we're already in it. So we don't have to worry about that.
I'm open to either. I'm open.
I'm willing to
open
try it
everything,
too,
guy.
sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna prefer marble racing standalones.
Oh yeah,
on their
there's
own.
always the pure forms that you just gotta, and that's what I'm saying. JMR is that pure form, man. You're not gonna do better than that. No matter what you do, they have what they have. You can't beat it, in that form. Though I'm open to those hybrid.
Right. Yeah, I think we've talked this point to death. Like, so let's finish up with the trivia segment.
I think there's a few other, there's probably some nitty gritty points in there and things that we probably misrepresented and stuff. But like, I guess the general point I'm saying is like, just in general, for all channels, for JMR, for Fubica, he can't listen to this. He doesn't understand English. He's Spanish.
Portuguese.
For whatever, okay, whatever. Same thing. No, I shouldn't say that. There are probably people who wouldn't like that. Difference is a difference. For all channels in marble sports or planning marble sports, first of all, being creative is hard. I don't sugarcoat that. Okay, it is. So just don't. If you're having trouble being creative with new events, well, it's normal. And there's only so many things you can do, okay? There's only so many things you can do in marble sports. There's only so many different ways you can build a variation on a 5-meter sprint. There's only so many different ways you can present a funnel race. There really are. There's like 5 probably, all right? You can use a big funnel. You can use small funnels. You can do 1v1 funneling. You can do team time trials. That's about it. That's 5 things, all right? And that, off the top of my head, kind of. Those are the 5 things. All right. After that, there are not many other things before it just gets awkward. Okay, and even the time trials with the teams that can get kind of boring. So there's only so many things. So when you look at other marble sports, all right, and especially when JMR looks out at the community that they're and stuff, and there's competition and stuff. Realize that other people are just trying to create marble sports, and they can't do much else different because, well, it's hard and it's not necessarily possible. Because marbles, they just roll, man. They just do what gravity tells them to do. They really just gonna do that. All right. So it's not like with people where. With people, you can just create a new sport because people can do anything. They can jump, they can throw, they can hang upside down, they can swim, they can do all those things. Marbles they can roll, and you can have them roll and do other things sometimes. And then you can sometimes have them surf to no avail, but you can have them try. And you can have them raft. You can have them raft here and there. But there's only so many things. So just. If something seems like a copy, it should be addressed. It should be talked about. It should be brought up to other people to see what they think. It should be considered, but it shouldn't be just like blatantly like, "Oh, dude, you copied me." All right, because like it's not the same.
All right, we're repeating ourselves. At this
we're
point,
repeating
so
ourselves.
Let's move on to the trivia segment again.
Oh, do we have to do the they roll with the punches? That's good, live chat. Let's do the trivia segment music.
I was gonna do some blue like a jazz thing. Okay. It's time for trivia.
Trivia.
I hope someday someone like a really dedicated fan like takes all of our musical segments and somehow makes something truly amazing with it.
Hint.
That'd be so like. Because I don't have any, I can play an instrument, I can't write music.
A little bit more.
I can't write music. I can play, but I can't write.
By the way, I noticed when you put up episode 31 right after we did, you put episode 31 up today, and then we've had the Algodoo out now. Mm-hmm. Like literally, we got 9 views on that in like a literal 5 minutes. So the Algodoo kind of at least attracts attention for half a second. Then they hear us sing the trivia music, and they're like, "No, fuck that." But they did come for a minute.
Hey. All right. So yeah, who wants to go first?
I will go first. There's only 2 of us this time, and we are cresting an hour.
Oh yeah.
How many Thunderbolts are in the Thunderbolts logo?
Okay.
How many questions have we devolved into questions about the number of things in a logo? It's like the last few weeks now. I like it though. It's kind of the nitty gritty.
I think it's 3.
I think it's 4.
You think it's 4? I can't remember what it looks like specifically. Part of me wants to say it's even just 1, but I think it's 3.
I'll go 4.
Okay, let's see. What's the answer? Man, I'm
3.
burpy today.
I like what he did there. He like spaced the 3 out a bunch, so I couldn't tell what like that if it was a single digit. That was.
Oh, that's smart. But was it? It was a 3.
Yeah, it was 3. Good for you.
Yeah, I think he learned from like the last time, like where you mentioned like, well, the shaded part is small enough to be this, so it's gotta be a certain number of digits. So I think he's learned.
Oh, he's picking up on that. Hey, you know what, S-Man? I'm gonna give you credits for that. I can't. That's cool. That's good.
Sweet.
Hey.
Yeah.
When I that's I notice that kind of stuff. That's why you're a committee member. You the little things, man. I see you. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So we have another logo question. So don't look at any of the emojis or whatever. Like, cause I was gonna do that for Thunderbolts real quick, but I remembered that I gotta do this one. So how many raspberries are on the Raspberry Racers logo?
Oh, kill yourself.
I believe it's 13.
What? No.
I think
13.
I think so. Wait.
Go...
8.
Don't count. Piney would know.
8. No, mine's spaced out the same way too. Yeah, because it's smaller than smaller than that. So I think it's 8.
I would go 9.
8. Okay, let's check. The answer is 8. Woo! You were close.
Lucky.
Yeah. Wow.
You're lucky.
And now we can look at the logos, because I think so I can't remember who posted them in the chat a long time ago. Who did So Thunderbolts logo. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's like 2 Thunderbolts behind it, I think.
Oh yeah. I guess you consider like every one of those dots a raspberry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes.
A raspberry.
A raspberry.
Wait, where's all the marbles? Oh, Black Guy's here.
I put them all in. Yeah. So those were some good questions. That was fun. Awesome. Oh yeah, so the Thunderbolts are on the side. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Anyway, that's the trivia segment, guys. Let's do the outro music for the trivia segment.
Maybe I should get my French horn out, like at some point, like during one of these.
I have my trumpet. Like over there somewhere.
Maybe at some point, like we could figure out something to do. But we would have to.
Dude, I would love to.
We would have to adjust the gain.
I would love to play like a song from Cuphead or something.
We would have to adjust the gain so bad on our mics though, so it doesn't.
Dude, it would be insane.
Yeah,
it would be weird.
So much preparation, but hey, it's a potential goal for one day. I guess I gotta
There's
practice
a lot
again.
of go outs.
Gotta practice again. Haven't played in a long time.
A lot of goals, like MarbleCon 2025. That's the only other certainty.
The only.
By
other
the way,
certainty.
I think MarbleCon 2025. Like I say way too much. It was my original idea. What was the thing we were talking about earlier? The one idea we were talking about earlier. Oh, what was it? Oh God, I know you should listen to me.
The one where they jump into a sling and then they ride a balloon into the.
No. Before that, we were talking about another idea.
Skydiving.
No, way before. It was like beginning of the show.
Fishing.
No, before that, like we were talking about just normal stuff. It was like another. What was it? Damn, well, guys, I'm gonna be here until we figure this out. Like, so you're just gonna listen. It's gonna go over time until I figure out what this idea was. I knew.
What was it? Do you know what the general idea of it was? Like, what?
It was back in the beginning. We were talking about JMR or something, and like there was some idea, and I was like, oh wait, I think I might have been. I don't know if I was the only one to come up with that, but I definitely came up with that like by myself one time, and I said it somewhere like, a long time ago.
I think I know what you're saying.
I postulated that idea.
I can't remember. You'd have to.
It was something to do. It was something simple. It was not. It was something simpler, like more.
You'll probably be editing this episode because unfortunately JM has been dealing with some family issues, and so thoughts and prayers.
I hope he still is.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to him, definitely. But like, I don't know. What was the idea? It was what was it? Something to do with JMR, something to do with marbles, something to do with the marbles. I can't remember. Something with frick. I can't remember. See, this is how the ideas go. You got to catch them while they're hot. Well, what the? Haven't done that voice in a while.
Yeah, please, I can't. I'm sad that it came back.
I get you. You know what I'm talking about.
Basketball.
You know what I'm
Basketball?
saying. No. It wasn't an event idea. It was something with the Marbles.
Yeah, okay. It was also I guess because basketball's been done before, right?
No, what was it? It was something to do with like,
shoot, we're really just dragging this out. But I want to know too, dude.
No, I want to actually figure this out. Maybe we'll have to do it like after the show. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry about that. We didn't figure it out. To anyone who might be JMRC or somewhere related that was listening, yes, I know we beat down the idea as to death as it could go about the whole copies thing. It's just some random thought that came to my mind indirectly from a bunch of the conversations that have ensued over the past few days.
I think
we
you
didn't
mentioned
have
the
Wolves
topic
on tonight.
last week, like a week ago too. I think
Maybe, I don't know. We didn't have Wolves on tonight because he had a family difficulty, and I thought this topic would last the whole episode, so I made it.
It did.
We're going to have to wrap it up, though. We are way over an hour,
Oh, yeah.
110, and you know that the chances of me being able to actually edit this down correctly is going to be low.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see you guys next time. If I think of whatever the other idea was, I will let you all know. Anybody that's new and for some reason is still here, wow, you must really enjoy listening to people talk. Have a good night and keep on rolling. Oh, and tune in this Friday for part 1 and then Monday next week for part 2 of Casino Night.
See you all next time.